Today we dive deep into the most anticipated battles in the One Piece universe, the final showdown between Luffy and Blackbeard. We'll explore the contrasting portrayals of Luffy and Blackbeard, delving into the fate of their ultimate battle. We'll also break down Luffy's journey to become the Pirate King and Blackbeard's cunning strategy with the road poneglyphs and his assault on Egghead. I'm excited to give you a thorough analysis of this Luffy versus Blackbeard clash. If you find this analysis spot on, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have a different take on this, please share your thoughts in the comments. Just a heads up, this video contains spoilers up to the latest episode, so be cautious. Now, let's dive in. Now, we're entering the final chapter, and the adventures of One Piece and its main character, Monkey D. Luffy, are getting more exciting than ever. Luffy's quest to become the Pirate King is approaching its climax, with only a few formidable pirates left in his way. These include red-haired Shanks and Blackbeard Teach from the Four Emperors, along with Cross-Guild's Buggy and rivals from the Worst Generation. Wahahaha, yes, go Straw Hat! Here's what I think. A Pirate King will soon emerge from those called the Worst Generation, Morgans. As Morgans predicted in episode 901, there's a strong vibe that the next Pirate King could arise from the Worst Generation. Yet, within the Worst Generation, Basil Hawkins met his demise in Wano Country. Drake's true identity is a captain in the secret special forces SWORD, affiliated with the Marine headquarters. Jewelry Bonnie suffered an early defeat by Blackbeard, and her real aim was to return her father, Kuma, to his original state. Others, like Capone Begay and Scratch Manapo, once under the Four Emperors, can essentially be considered out of the Pirate King race. Kid has been devastated along with his crew by Shanks, and Law has been defeated by Blackbeard and is currently fleeing. This leaves only Luffy, Blackbeard, and Yarouge from the Worst Generation in the Pirate King race. However, Yarouge hasn't had much spotlight. There's no depiction of his wounds from the battle with former Four Sweet Commanders Snack Healing, making it doubtful he'll rise to the level of a Four Emperor. So, the battle for Pirate King might boil down to a direct clash between Luffy and Blackbeard. In this episode, let's dive deep and thoroughly explore the potential developments and showdowns between Luffy and Blackbeard. Let's start by assuming Luffy and Blackbeard will clash and summarize the grudges leading up to their battle. The first reason for their destined fight is somewhat meta, but it's about their contrasting character positions. Luffy and Blackbeard had a memorable first encounter in episode 223, and their positions have been opposite from the start. In the Mocktown Tavern, they had contrasting reactions to cherry pies and drinks. While Luffy values his crew, Blackbeard has made his crew members fight each other for their positions. In episode 1058, Blackbeard was even ready to abandon Devon, and others turned to stone by Hancock. Luffy is the user of the human fruit, mythical Zoan-type Nika, modeled after the sun god Nika. In contrast, Blackbeard wields the powers of the dark fruit, an antithesis to the sun. Their characters are complete opposites. However, despite being opposites, Luffy and Blackbeard share common points in their growth. Let's introduce three of them. The first common point is that both made a name for themselves in the Grand Line with a crew of 5. Luffy gathered Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanjay in East Blue and entered the Grand Line as the Straw Hat crew. Blackbeard also started with 5 crew members. It was a crew of just 5 pirates. The captain called himself Blackbeard. With his overwhelming power, he destroyed our country in an instant. Dalton. As Dalton mentioned in episode 133, Blackbeard's first action in the Grand Line with a crew of 5 was attacking Drum Kingdom. Their second common point is that both have declared war against the world. I've got Robin's enemies figured out. Soga King, shoot down that flag. Monkey D. Luffy. In episode 398, Luffy declared war on the world government during Robin's rescue. Make sure the world hears this. Peace-loving fools, Marines, world government, and pirates. The future of this world is decided. Yes, from here on, it's my era. Marshall D. Teach. Blackbeard also declared war on the entire world in episode 577. The third common point is that both have single-handedly defeated a Four Emperors commander. Blackbeard defeated Whitebeard's 2nd Division commander, Portgas d'Ace, in episode 441. Luffy defeated one of Big Mom's, one of the three Sweet Commanders, Charlotte Karakulai. Lastly, both are currently 4 emperors. Luffy's bounty is 3 billion berries, and Blackbeard's is 3.996 billion berries. Despite their contrasting characters, Luffy and Blackbeard have surprisingly similar growth trajectories. It's likely that Oda intentionally set these two characters on deeply intertwined paths. Next up, the second reason Luffy and Blackbeard are destined to fight is their common goal. As mentioned earlier, both aim to become the Pirate King. Naturally, when individuals with different standings share the same goal, conflicts are bound to arise, just like in the real world. The fact that both Luffy and Blackbeard are aiming for the title of Pirate King implies a high probability of a destined conflict between them. Moving on, the third reason Luffy and Blackbeard are bound to clash is that Blackbeard initially targeted Luffy as a pirate. I later found out it was you, Straw Hat Luffy. At that time, aiming to fill the vacancy of the 7 Warlords of the Sea, the most effective way for me was to take your head and show my power to the government. But fate protected you. Marshall D. Teach. As Blackbeard stated in episode 544, he initially targeted Luffy as his offering to join the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Zahaha! Long time no see! Trafalgar Law? Straw Hat Kid? Or you? I thought someone would come here after leaving Wano Country. Marshall D. Teach. Furthermore, in episode 1063, Blackbeard was lying in wait in the route after Wano Country, aiming to get a copy of the Road Poneglyph. But again, perhaps due to fate, Luffy and Blackbeard did not collide. It's almost as if Ichiro Oda is intentionally delaying their encounter, suggesting that it's not yet time for Luffy and Blackbeard to clash. The fourth reason Luffy and Blackbeard are fated to fight is that Blackbeard represents an enemy figure to someone Luffy admires. Firstly, Luffy's inspiration to become a pirate stemmed from 2 men. One is, of course, Shanks. Luffy learned about the harshness of the sea, his own powerlessness, and above all, the greatness of a man named Shanks. He genuinely aspired to become like him one day. Shanks is the person who inspired Luffy to pursue a life of piracy in the first episode. The second is Ace. Listen, Luffy, we must live our lives without any regrets. Someday we'll set out to sea and live as we please, freer than anyone else. We're going to become pirates. Portgas D. Ace. Ace, Luffy's sworn brother, pledged to become a pirate with him in episode 589. In essence, it's no exaggeration to say Luffy became a pirate because of Shanks and Ace. And these 2 significant figures in Luffy's life have a history with Blackbeard. Shanks received a 3-line scar on his left eye, and Ace was defeated by Blackbeard, leading to his public execution by the Marines. Even though there's no direct feud, Luffy can possibly view Blackbeard's favorably, considering he harmed the people he reveres. Now, it's clear that Luffy and Blackbeard share an intense rivalry. Let's speculate on how these two might eventually clash. As I mentioned before, their common goal of becoming the Pirate King will likely lead to their collision. Let's hypothesize. Let's say Blackbeard pirates clash with red-haired pirates and Shanks gets defeated. However, it's unlikely that Luffy would challenge Blackbeard just because Shanks was defeated. The biggest reason? Luffy's character. As pirates, we'll be enemies if we ever meet, and Ace has his own adventures. Monkey D. Luffy. As Luffy stated in episode 490, he wouldn't act until there's a clear and immediate crisis, even for the most important people in his life. Exceptions are made when someone like Nami or Vivi explicitly asks for help. Luffy's nature is such that he doesn't want to interfere with or disrespect the life paths of those he cherishes. Even if Shanks were defeated by Blackbeard, Luffy would likely accept it as the result of Shanks' adventure, no matter how infuriating it might be emotionally. So, the direct cause for Luffy and Blackbeard to engage in battle would be at the end of their respective adventures. In other words, a battle over the title of Pirate King is the most plausible reason for their confrontation. So, when exactly might Luffy and Blackbeard clash? My bet is on the very final stages of the last chapter. The main reason for this prediction is that, so far, Oda-sensei has kept Luffy and Blackbeard from engaging in a full-scale battle despite their close encounters. Their first encounter ended without a fight due to the knock-up stream, and Blackbeard shifted his target from Luffy to Ace with Ace's intervention. The second encounter, in Impel Down, led to a minor skirmish, but both parties had their own objectives and avoided a full-blown battle to conserve energy. And the third time, they could have crossed paths. It was Law, not Luffy, who chose the route leading to Blackbeard. This could imply that Oda-sensei is meticulously setting the stage for a main battle between Luffy and Blackbeard in the future. And when might this stage be set? Clues lie in Oda-sensei's statement in Volumes 97 SBS. Ending the series means concluding the most exciting part of Luffy's adventure, the story of what is One Piece. Currently, the Wano Country arc is heating up, but if Luffy's safety sets sail from here, the largest battle in One Piece history awaits. Oda-sensei. As Oda-sensei hints at the series finale, the flow of the final chapter will likely start with the largest battle, followed by revelation of One Piece. This largest battle probably won't just involve Luffy, Shanks, Blackbeard, and other pirates. I expect a fierce conflict involving all: the Revolutionary Army, the Marines, and the world government. Given the numerous speculations we've discussed before, the main adversary in this battle is likely to be on the world government side. With all these forces involved, it's natural to assume that Blackbeard and his crew will join this largest battle too. But if Luffy and Blackbeard were to fight at this point, the story could become too scattered. It wouldn't seem right for Oda-sensei to resolve the carefully laid out plot lines in such a chaotic scenario. Considering all this, if Luffy and Blackbeard are to face off directly, it would probably be after this largest battle, deep into the final chapter. In other words, their showdown is likely to coincide with the race to become the Pirate King. Now, let's dive into the current strengths of Luffy and Blackbeard. We'll break it down into two key aspects: Devil Fruit powers and Haki. Luffy's combat strength lies in his high physical capabilities and martial arts skills. From a young age, he's been training as a rubberman due to the Gum Fruit, enhancing his innate abilities. This gives him extraordinary reflexes and mobility. Luffy's flexible and creative approach to fighting sets him apart, making his unpredictable tactics one of his biggest assets. At this point, Luffy is among the top fighters in hand-to-hand combat within the series. Next, Luffy's Devil Fruit, the mythical Zoan-type human fruit, model Nika, commonly known as the Gum Fruit. Luffy progressively unleashes this latent potential of his Devil Fruit through Gear 2, Gear 3, and Gear 4, amplifying his abilities, speed, and power. The awakening endows his rubber body with even more strength and freedom, supposedly the most ridiculous power in the world: 5 Elders. The awakening of his Devil Fruit, Gear 5, brings him to his current peak. In this form, it is as described by 5 Elders in Chapter 1044. This form not only retains his rubber abilities, but also grants him immense strength, surpassing even 4 Emperor Kato's durability. It's almost like a cheat, bestowing Luffy with the power of freedom that affects others. As a Zoan type, Luffy also gains toughness and extraordinary healing abilities. The overwhelming power of the human fruit model, Nika, does have a drawback: significant exhaustion and temporary aging. However, the Zoan's incredible healing factor allows Luffy to recover and return to fighting condition in a short time. Luffy can arguably be considered among the top Devil Fruit users in the series right now. Now, let's talk about Luffy's Haki. He's mastered Armament Haki, Observation Haki, and Conqueror's Haki. Starting with Armament Haki, not only can Luffy use its basic hardening and coating effects, but he also learned the advanced technique Ryu from Hyogoro in Wano Country. As for Observation Haki, Luffy has shown remarkable proficiency. Even though it's the same Observation Haki, you have a talent for sensing the emotions of living beings. Silver's Rayleigh. As Rayleigh mentioned in Chapter 597, Luffy is especially skilled at sensing emotions. Moreover, he can use Future Sight, a higher level of observation haki that allows predicting a few seconds into the future, achievable only by those who have intensely honed their haki. Conqueror's haki is where Luffy truly excels. His intimidation with Conqueror's haki is so strong that he knocked out 50,000 fishmen in Fishman Island instantly. You can also coat yourself with Conqueror's haki, right? Monkey D. Luffy. Only a handful of the strong can. Kaido. During his battles with Kaido, Luffy managed to coat himself with Conqueror's haki. In his Gear 5 form, he even demonstrated the extraordinary feat of coating himself with both armament and Conqueror's haki simultaneously. Conquering all this, Luffy can be regarded as one of the top haki users in the series, excluding exceptional users like Shanks or possibly Roger. Next up, let's dive into Blackbeard's abilities. His basic combat strength revolves around rough and raw brawling, swinging his fists with brute force. He's also shown wielding weapons like the claw that scarred Shanks and the pistol he used to take Whitebeard's life. However, these are more like sidearms, not his main combat tools. The most striking aspect of Blackbeard's combat is the overwhelming power he unleashes, thanks to his massive physical strength. Once he grabs hold of his opponent, that devastating blow is almost guaranteed to inflict major damage. But on the flip side, there are clear indications of his lack of agility. He's been outpaced not just by physically adept opponents like Ace, Luffy, and the Seraphim, but also by ability-focused fighters like Magellan, Whitebeard, and Law. However, this also highlights Blackbeard's exceptional toughness and the synergy with his abilities, which I'll delve into next. All things considered, despite his speed issues, Blackbeard's raw power is unmatched, and he does have some proficiency with weapons. He's undoubtedly a formidable force. Now, Blackbeard possesses an extraordinary pair of Devil Fruit abilities. The first one is the Logia type Dark Fruit, and the second one is the Paramecia type Tremor Fruit. Let's break down each of these abilities one by one. Of all the abilities in the history of Devil Fruits, this is regarded as the most heinous. I've become a man of darkness. Darkness is gravity, the power to drag everything in. Marshall D. Teach. Starting with the Dark Fruit, as Blackbeard himself put it in episode 441, it's the ability to generate infinite gravity and pull everything towards oneself. This gravity even drags in the pain of attacks usually endured. So, despite being a Logia type, he can't just let attacks pass through. But here's the kicker. It can also draw in the abilities of enemy Devil Fruits, meaning if you can pull your target in and touch them, you can render their Devil Fruit powers utterly useless. It's like a wild card straight out of the story. And as I mentioned before, Blackbeard isn't the fastest guy around. But the pulling power of the Dark Fruit brilliantly compensates for that. It's like a perfect match for him, enabling his abilities in just the right ways. Next up is the Tremor Fruit. Just like the Earthquake Man Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, that man possesses the power to destroy the world. Sengoku. True to Sengoku's outcry in episode 552, the Tremor Fruit can generate tremors. Moreover, in the hands of a powerhouse like Whitebeard, it's capable of causing earthquakes and massive tsunamis, originating right from the fabric of space. Once rubber starts affecting others, it's likely a sign of a Paramecia type awakening. Kaido. Though not confirmed in the story, as Kaido revealed, Whitebeard's Tremor Fruit had reached a scale where it impacted others, indicating it was likely awakened. And while Blackbeard mentioned he's still struggling to control it, he exhibited tremors similar to Whitebeard's shortly after acquiring it. This hints that he might have inherited the ability in its awakened state. So it's plausible that he has developed the Tremor Fruit to a level comparable to Whitebeard's prime. Furthermore, with the Paramecia type Devil Fruits, the Tremor Fruit is touted as having some of the most potent offensive capabilities. It significantly boosts Blackbeard's strong point, his power, making it another perfect match for him. So, as it stands, Blackbeard has acquired 2 Devil Fruit powers that synergize incredibly well with him. And he's undoubtedly one of the top powerhouses in the story, not falling short of Luffy in any way. Blackbeard has mastered armament haki and observation haki, and probably even conqueror's haki. His armament haki is so strong that he could stop S-Hawk's sword attack with just his hardened bare hands. As for observation haki, there is not much depiction, but in episode 1059, he caught Hancock unarmed. This suggests a high possibility that he can use future sight, just like Luffy. In episode 1063, during his fight with Law, the distinctive black lightning, a sign of Conqueror's haki, was observed in Blackbeard's attacks. This indicates he can probably use it. Moreover, Blackbeard's Conqueror's haki might possess a special ability, observation killing. Considering he left 3 scars on Shanks, who wasn't caught off guard, it's plausible that Blackbeard can also use observation killing. So as of now, Blackbeard is arguably one of the top haki users in the series. Now, let's speculate on what a battle between Luffy and Blackbeard would look like based on this information. Initially, I'd say Luffy's likely to have the upper hand, because as we've seen, Blackbeard often starts on the back foot against other enemies. This can be attributed to the risks associated with his dark fruit powers, which tend to draw in more attacks than necessary. I bet Luffy's going to go full throttle from the get-go, just like he did against Lucci and Egghead. Remember, Luffy's Gear 5 attacks are so powerful they even took down Kaido in the Wano Country arc. And Blackbeard, he tends to absorb more pain than needed. So Blackbeard might end up taking more damage from Luffy than even Kaido did. But don't count Blackbeard out yet. He's not one to fall easily. Expect him to counter using both his dark fruit and his well-mastered tremor fruit, the same level as Whitebeard's. And then there's his trump card, the Korozu, the Dark Water. This move will likely draw in Luffy's real body, forcibly shutting down Gear 5. Even though Gear 5 grants freedom, it's still derived from a devil fruit. So if Gear 5 is sealed, what happens to Luffy? Korozu, Marshall D. Teach. Blood? Monkey D. Luffy. He's made of rubber. Sir Crocodile. As shown in episode 544, Luffy would like to revert to his normal human state. But let's not forget, Luffy's climbed his way up to the 4 Emperors, so he's incredibly strong, even without his devil fruit powers. Plus, he still has his haki. But if he were to take a direct hit from Blackbeard's haki and the tremor fruit, arguably the strongest attack power among the Paramecia fruits, even with armament and Conqueror's haki, he'd be in for some serious damage. This showdown's shaping up to be a real clash of powers right from the start. Moving on to the middle of the battle, I anticipate that Blackbeard's ruthlessness will become increasingly evident. First, Luffy, with his devil fruit ability sealed, will likely shift his combat strategy to rely primarily on haki. This is because regardless of Luffy's Zoan-type resilience and abnormal recovery rate, it seems unlikely that he can repeatedly use Gear 5 without any intervals. If Luffy were to keep toggling between Gear 5 and releasing it, he'd probably hit his limit before Blackbeard. But what I learned from the 4 Emperors of battles, overwhelming force doesn't work on abilities. Trafalgar Law. However, as shown in episode 1063, there seems to be a weakness where strong haki can neutralize devil fruit abilities. This means that if Luffy can harness powerful haki, in theory, he should be able to resist the gravitational pull of Blackbeard's dark fruit. But for some reason, I speculate that Luffy can't overcome the gravitational force of Blackbeard's dark fruit using haki alone. I'll delve into this reason later on. So, Luffy is forced to fight using only his haki, without shifting to Gear 5. Meanwhile, Blackbeard can use both his haki and the abilities of his 2 devil fruits. The advantage is clearly with Blackbeard, and the tide of battle will likely tilt in his favor. Adding to this, I expect the unique natures of Blackbeard's Conqueror's haki to come into play. I'm referring to the observation killing. As depicted in the battles with Karakulai and Kaido, gaining the upper hand by foreseeing the future with observation haki is crucial when facing 4 Emperors-class pirates. However, Luffy's future sight doesn't seem to affect Blackbeard. While Blackbeard's observation haki works on Luffy, this shift will likely turn the battle overwhelmingly into Blackbeard's favor. I believe that in this battle with Blackbeard, Luffy will face defeat at least once. Throughout the series, Luffy's defeats have always been stepping stones for his growth. But remember, this is the final arc, the title of Pirate King on the line. Considering the pace of the story, Luffy's defeats will likely be limited to once, or at most twice. Lastly, in the final phase of the battle, the reason why Haki couldn't overcome Blackbeard's darkness gravity will be revealed, leading to Luffy's ultimate evolution. Let's start by breaking down why even excessive Haki couldn't defeat Blackbeard's dark fruit pull. Currently in the series, as of episode 1047, Kaido mentioned, Haki alone surpasses everything. And from Shanks' actions in chapter 1079, it's depicted that strong Haki users are the true powerhouses in the world of One Piece. But this trend, haven't you all wondered about something? Ultimately, if you have Haki, do you really need devil fruits? That's the question. Devil fruits can be called the iconic element of One Piece. One Piece is a Shonen Jump manga that primarily focuses on ability battles. So this core element of abilities must be pretty important. However, with the introduction of the concept of Haki, it's starting to take center stage in battles. If Haki truly surpasses devil fruits, it would diminish the specialness of devil fruits that have been around since the first episode. Would Oda-sensei really let that happen? Probably not. Oda-sensei has meticulously built up the story so far. He even had the surprises that the gum fruit was actually the human fruit, mythical Zoan model Nika. Various settings have been incorporated into the abilities. It's hard to believe that he would let the important ability of devil fruits go to waste. Devil fruits are the possibility of human evolution that someone wished for. Wouldn't it be nice to be like that? To become like that? The future of humanity, in its myriad forms, is an ability. Vegapunk. In episode 1069, Vegapunk says this. It's likely that Oda-sensei's depiction of devil fruits, based on free imagination, will continue to play a significant role. With this in mind, let's refocus on Blackbeard's current actions. If the Navy's gonna take it, I might as well have it. I don't care as long as I get the ability. Marshall D. Teach. Super strength, contagion, teleportation, they all have gained ridiculous powers through devil fruit hunting. Trafalgar Law. Blackbeard has consistently been collecting devil fruits. This contrasts with the current narrative flow in the story, emphasizing the strength of Haki. But this very action could be Oda-sensei's foreshadowing that the devil fruits will once again become key in ability battles. So, how will the devil fruits be utilized moving forward? Currently, the utility and strength of Haki are being thoroughly explored. It's likely that Oda-sensei plans to leverage both the devil fruits and Haki in the storyline. In other words, future battles might be about the complete fusion of abilities and Haki. If we're talking about a complete fusion of abilities and Haki, Blackbeard could already be there. I thought 30 million was enough for that Haki, but to this extent. Marshall D. Teach. Looking back, Blackbeard was the first to mention Haki in the series. And as a former member of the Whitebeard Pirates, who battled the Roger Pirates in their prime, he surely had extensive knowledge of Haki. Additionally, given Blackbeard's hobby of historical research, it's safe to assume he's well versed in devil fruits and has likely pondered over the combined use of Haki and devil fruits for quite some time. Moreover, Blackbeard's physical structure is unique. As Ace's comment about him living twice the life of a normal person suggests, he had double the time to research. Therefore, Blackbeard's dark fruit ability might already be fused with Haki, placing him in a more advanced state than Luffy. This could be why Luffy's powerful Haki couldn't counteract the gravitational pull of Blackbeard's darkness, which is fused with Haki. Thus, it's logical to conclude that Luffy might face defeat in the mid-battle. However, Luffy has always evolved after a defeat. Naturally, we can speculate that Luffy will reach the state of fusion of abilities and Haki. But what kind of evolution would we see if Luffy reaches the same state as Blackbeard and undergoes his final transformation? You can also use Conqueror's Haki, right? Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy has been combining his rubber body with armament and Conqueror's Haki. It's hard to imagine any more visible evolution in the fusion of his rubber abilities and Haki, right? Actually, there's already a precedent for the fusion of rubber abilities and Haki. Controlling the strength of rubber at will with armament, a fusion of armament and rubber. Don Quixote, Doflamingo. As Doflamingo analyzed in episode 785, the rubber abilities have already been proven to be capable of fusing with Haki. But what's really interesting here is the fusion of the ability of the human fruit, mythical Zoan model, Nika, and Haki. As we've discussed, the strongest awakened ability so far grants freedom. This ability acts like a Paramecia-type devil fruit, merely exerting influence. By fusing Haki and abilities, you can prevent the nullification of abilities by excessive Haki from the opponent. Even if Blackbeard uses Korozu, the nullification of abilities can be prevented if they're fused with Haki. Moreover, Luffy's awakened ability grants freedom and can influence others, so it's conceivable that he could interfere with the opponent's abilities. For example, if darkness is countered by light, Luffy can interpret that fire weakens the ability. Under such an interpretation, the power of the dark fruit could be weakened in the presence of fire. If Luffy can affect the opponent's abilities with his unique interpretation, that's truly an invincible ability. Also, remember how Luffy rubberized his surroundings in Wano country? This could be achieved through the ability to grant freedom. If this ability fuses with the Conqueror's Haki, clashes can be avoided, and even the Conqueror's Haki of the opponent can be repelled. Imagine repelling a Conqueror's Haki as intimidating as Shanks's, which could even pressure Ryokugu. In that case, Luffy would be unshaken by anyone's Haki with nothing to fear. So, I believe that Luffy will eventually reach the state of complete fusion of abilities and Haki, and ultimately triumph over Blackbeard. So, that's my analysis. What do you guys think? This channel posts summaries, explanations, and ranking videos related to One Piece. If you like One Piece, we'd be happy if you could support us by subscribing to our channel. Comment below. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next video.